Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Olena and I'm an English teacher here in Busan, South Korea. I'm kicking off a very interesting series, and that is sharing the stories of first generation or second generation Americans. Last week I shared the story of me, and this week will be a story of somebody that I was friends with in grade school. So I look forward to sharing his story with you. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I did learning about my friends in a different perspective, and I hope that you learn something new. And every week it's going to be a different person. The questions are exactly the same, but the answers are, of course, going to be vastly different because everybody's from different walks of life. A few of these videos are going to have photos of my friends and their growing up years, and some of the videos are actually going to be voiced over by them. So I feel like you're going to have a much more emotional connection to each of these stories, and you will really get a feel of what their experiences were like. So for this week, let's learn about Zong. As I said, he was my friend in grade school, and I'm very grateful for having him share his story. So let's get on to it. I was born in Thailand after my parents migrated out of Laos due to the Vietnam War aftermath. We moved to the US in '94 when I was 4 years old. Growing up, I had to battle the Hmong culture while trying to fit in with being an American. The thing about Hmong culture is that it's very family-oriented, and you live with or near your cousins and family your entire life, and then you take care of your parents when they retire. The issue with that mentality is that you really don't grow outside the way your parents were raised. I was raised with a mentality of survival. I never learned how to be emotionally connected or how to love someone in the modern American way. I moved out as soon as I could to learn how to grow apart from the Hmong culture. Now, I made one of the hardest decisions when I decided to move out of state and be outside of a driving distance from my entire family so I could follow my dreams. Living in the city has taught me a different lifestyle and opened my eyes to a different mindset. I'm a better person now than I have ever dreamed of. I haven't abandoned my Hmong culture, and I plan on taking care of my family when they are old, but I need to live my life and be successful before I can be the child they wish they have. When someone asks me where I'm from, I say I'm born in Thailand, but Hmong people are normally found in Laos. Hmong is a people and not a place, as we don't have our own country. I would like to elaborate on this a little bit more. If you have not heard of Hmong people, it is an ethnic group and a nation, and not a state. Now, what is the difference between a nation and a state? A nation is a large group of people who would want to have their own country but don't. And a state is like what you call a country. You know, for example, the US, it's a recognized country. And in political terms, it's called a state that has its own government, its own borders, and everything like that. So the Hmong people, they're a group of people who don't have that. They don't have their own borders, they don't have their own government, and they're spread out throughout Southeast Asia. As he had said, most of them are from Laos, but there are many Hmong people that are also found in Thailand, Vietnam, and other Southeast Asian countries. Now, one interesting fact is that in the US, there's actually a huge concentration of Hmong people, especially in Georgia, and I just wonder why they chose Georgia. That's what's really interesting to me, because, you know, a lot of immigrants usually choose to settle like in the Northeast. You know, it's a very immigrant-heavy area. But Hmong people, a lot of them are in Georgia and Minnesota, and a lot of them have family in Minnesota, between Georgia and Minnesota. It is a spoken language, and they do use the Latin alphabet to write in their language. And they have some of the most beautiful traditional dress. I am in love with how beautiful it is. The culture that I feel like I belong to is the American Hmong culture. It's a mix of both cultures and has mainly the good of both cultures. The two things that have made an impact on my life that make the two cultures different are, in the Hmong culture, the importance of family. and in the American culture, the pursuit of happiness. I feel like I am accepted in both cultures as I can communicate well with both. Most Hmong Americans cannot speak Hmong, and that's their shortfall. Therefore, they will not be accepted by the elders. My teen years were hard, as I'm considered the first generation in America. Parents at home push us to keep our culture while we are being tasked at school to blend in with the American lifestyle. Growing up was a struggle as we did not have the money and knowledge of the American system to push us forward. Although it was a struggle, it also helped us to stay humble and be grateful for the things that we do have. This taught us to be hardworking and gave us the fear of being a failure. I do consider more than one place home. I love being free and doing whatever I want as an American, although my parents' house will always be my warm place when I'm in my dark times. I do feel connected to people who have the same background as me. It's always a blast when we chat about our background and stories of our struggles. It's funny how similar our stories are and how it has changed us to be the way that we are now. Everyone I've encountered with the same story as me has very similar mindset and ethics. We have a strong personality and tend to click with someone within seconds of speaking of each other. Or we know instantly that the other person isn't going to be one of our friends. We tend to speak with facts or opinions, but make the discussion clear at first. We tend to not make stuff up on the fly and use them as facts like the majority of folks. This kind of personality tends to make us seem like loners, as we normally don't speak until spoken to. I realized I was different the day I could remember things. I questioned my identity a lot in my 20s. My early 20s were hard. I was in the constant debate of leaving one culture and following the other. I was old enough to be able to make the decision, but the push to make a decision wasn't there. I'm glad I ended up keeping both. I came to the conclusion that I am the bridge to both cultures. My wife was born in America and she doesn't fully understand what and how the Hmong culture works. This makes it difficult for her to interact with my parents and her relatives that strongly lean on the Hmong culture. Hmong culture goes very deep, and it also splits within itself depending on the religion and the area of origin. I myself am not a perfectionist, but I understand the main parts of it. I tend to suggest people to watch the movie Gran Torino, as it gives you an idea of the Hmong culture that doesn't require me to write up a novel. So that is Tu's story. I really hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give it a like and comment below what you thought of that. And are you Hmong and watching this as well? Can you relate to some of these things? If so, let me know. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you in the next week when we will talk another one of my friends who is also a first-generation American.